Hello, and welcome to another session of Excel Programming for Clinicians with me, Dolotson Callon. In this session, we will step through how to set up your Excel environment for programming. Now, I'm recording this video using the latest version of Excel, so if you do not have this, one or two things might look ever so slightly different, but on the whole, you should have no trouble following along with any relatively modern version of Excel. In this lesson, we will cover how to activate the Developer tab in Excel. We will go over how to set up the various toolbars that you need to program in Excel. We will then cover the VBA Project Explorer. I will talk you through the project pane. We will have a look at the code window, and I will introduce you to the immediate window and some of the things that it helps us to do. Okay, if you've never done any programming in Visual Basic before, the first thing you need to do is set up your environment for programming. We'll start by activating the Developer tab. Go to your File menu, select Options, select Customize Ribbon. Make sure that the Main tab is selected and click on the Developer checkbox. Then click OK. And now you have the Developer tab. Let's take a look at what this gives us. It gives us the Visual Basic button. This is what takes us to the Visual Basic programming environment where we'll do most of our work. We have the Macros button, which gives us a list of all the macros in our current workbook. And we have a Record Macro button, which allows us to record new macros. Over here, we have the Insert button. If we drop that down, we have a list of form controls. Now, we won't use most of these form controls in this set of tutorials, but we will use the button control. For now, let's click on the Visual Basic button and go and take our first look at the Visual Basic programming environment. I will dock my Visual Basic programming environment to the right so that you can see both my screens. Next, we'll activate a set of key toolbars that we need for programming. From the View menu, select Toolbars and select Debug. Again, from the View menu, select Toolbars and select Edit. This gives us access to the Debugging toolbar and the Edit toolbar. The Debugging toolbar will be what we use when we've written some code and we want to run it to see how it works. The Edit toolbar will, as its name implies, give us the ability to edit the code as we go along. Next, let's take a look at the Visual Basic Project Explorer. If you haven't got it open yet, from the View toolbar, select Project Explorer. The Project Explorer is a tree view of all the different bits and pieces you have open in your Excel workbook. So there will be one tab for every sheet you have, and there will be another tab for the whole workbook. I will dock this toolbar to my right. Next, let's take a look at the Properties pane. From the View menu, select Properties window. I will dock my Properties window beneath my Project Explorer. The Properties window or pane gives us the list of properties for any object currently selected in the Project Explorer. For instance, if I select Sheet, you can see one of the properties of my sheet is the name. That name corresponds to the name shown down here at the bottom in the tab of the worksheet. Watch what happens if I change the name. the name changes here in the tab. So the properties pane allows us to control and manage the properties of all of the objects in our Excel workbook. Next, we'll take a look at the code window. In the Project Explorer, double-click on Sheets. This opens up a programming page in the code window. This is where we will write our code. Next, let's take a look at the immediate window. From the menu, select View and Immediate Window. The immediate window is really useful for quickly seeing what's going on in our programming code. We can access the values as our program runs and see what the values of various elements are in our programming code. We'll see more of this later on. Now, before we finish our exploration of the programming environments, there's two things we want to do. First, go to Tools, select Options, and then make sure the Require Variable Declaration button is checked. And then click on OK. Next, I want to show you how we add modules to our program. Modules allow us to write code that is separated from each of the sheets, but that can be used in any of the sheets. So insert a module, go to Insert, select Module, and the module gets inserted. Again, you can change the name of the module in the Properties pane if you like, but I'll leave that just as Module 1. You might have noticed that the words Option Explicit have been added to the top of our module page. Option Explicit is there because we have checked the Require Variable Declaration button. And what this means is that we cannot use variables in our program without first declaring them. We will see later on in the variables lesson just how important this is. Okay, so if you've been able to follow along with all of these steps, your environment will now be set up for programming. So, very exciting time, and we'll see you in the next lesson.